You may have seen a few string pull paintings on YouTube, but today I'm going to show you some top tips on how to produce that effect without getting dirty and without using loads of paint. Coming up. Hi again there guys, Emma here from Paint and Pinot, giving you some top tips for all things art and design. And today we're going to do a string pull effect. Often it's done with chain, sometimes we use yarn. That's what we're going to be using today. But whenever you look on YouTube, one of the things I notice is that people have to wear gloves because it gets really messy. This tends to be done with an acrylic pour, which means that you're putting loads of paint onto your canvas. That also means that you're going to lose a lot of paint as well in the process. So today I'm going to try and show you 2 tips on how to produce that same effect without getting dirty and without using loads of paint. Let's have a look. So to start with, we're just going to mix up a nice sort of aquatic green. So it's going to be predominantly the blue with just a hint of the yellow. And then we're simply just going to prime the canvas and we're just going to go straight on with the blue. I want to be really quite generous with this blue, so we're just going to simply pour it on. Now, because we're going for quite an abstract background, it really doesn't matter. There's no sense of order. So I'm just going to make this just float around. A lot of these techniques, I see people doing acrylic pours, but I find you waste so much paint. And I'm very aware that if you're watching this channel, you're either a beginner or you want to learn some top tips on how to save some money. So I don't like to be too generous when it comes to just wasting my acrylics because they are pretty expensive. So I'm just going to put this on quite loosely. You do need your paint to be quite thick, or else this technique's not going to work. So we're just going to spread this all over. Going right into the corners. Keep the brush moving in different directions as well, because you will see some of those brush strokes coming through. The paint being as thick as it is, you want to have a little bit of movement working through. Okay, now we're going to do the string or the yarn technique. So once again, just to remind you, I've actually put my string already onto this kitchen roll because I want to try and just make this a little bit easier to use. Often people use gloves and it can get quite messy. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my string. I've got already a pot of acrylic paint just sitting here. I'm just going with white. I have got a spatula handy just so that I can dab the string in. We want to have it all covered. I'll probably leave it about 5 centimeters before I get to the actual roll. I'm just going to dab that all the way through, make sure it's nice and well covered. All out. There we go. Okay. Now the trick, this is the hardest bit, because the trick here is that we're simply just going to weave the string onto the canvas. I always like to try and do a little loop at the top because you'll see the benefits in a moment. So I'm just going to take some of the slack. I need to stand up for this so I can get nice and high. I just grab my spatula so I've got a little bit of control. Okay, let's see what happens. If you find there's loads, so at the moment there's actually a lot of excess paint on the bottom. Just going to scrape some of that off. Okay, here we go. So just gently layering it down. You want to make some nice S shapes. Think of it like lots of swans. Going to use my spatula again, or palette knife rather. Bringing this around. Should have a bit more control now. And then I'm just going to finish off by going to the bottom to the center, just like so. Now you can see how quick this technique is, and obviously we've not finished yet, but the key is you want to be working whilst your paint is still wet. All right, here we go. So we're just going to pull it. The trick is to keep the string in the center, but you want to pull it down. So always keeping it to the same point. Just going to take some of that excess string up with my little gadget. Try and keep those hands clean. And then just keep pulling to that same point in the center. The majority of the string is actually at the bottom, so that's where you're taking the excess up. This is where it comes really handy with the tool. So keep pulling all the way to the center. And then I should be able to do the last one in just one long pull because most of the string is tied up now on the roll. Just keep pulling it through. Nice, that's lovely. Just take it right off to the center. There you go. So most people tend to just leave their string pull art as a one-off, but what I'm going to show you today is how you can actually add to it and develop it a little bit further. So I've actually let this dry. It's taken probably a good hour because there's so much paint on there. And then I've just here got simply some black. This time we're going with cool blue, a cool yellow and the titanium white. I've got a relatively large brush and I'm just going to do a very simple stipply effect just to really enhance the artwork, to give it a little bit more sort of a dynamic background. So I'm going to go darker on the outside and just work some lighter shades into it. And don't actually be afraid to actually add to the painting itself. So I'm just going to add some low lights to really bring out those gorgeous flower effects. And there you have it. Question of the day: How have you used string pull art in your paintings? I'd love to hear from you guys. Leave a comment just below. If you have enjoyed the video today, guys, then please hit that like button, as it really does help our channel. And if you'd like to see some more weekly tips just like this one, then hit that subscription button just below, as we do weekly videos. Alrighty guys, we'll see you next time. Happy painting.